A secret hidden for 40 years has been exposed. Iran's most powerful man, Ayatollah Khamenei, has a secret son. And this son works for his father's greatest enemy, the CIA. How did this family betrayal begin? Good evening. The story I'm about to tell you tonight is not just a family drama. This is one of the darkest secrets of the Middle East. Because the protagonist of this story is simultaneously both the greatest enemy of the Iranian regime and its closest relative. His name is Darius. His last name is something you could never guess. And for the past 15 years, he has been working as one of America's most valuable spies. His target? To overthrow his own father. This story begins with the 1979 Iranian Revolution. Back then, young cleric Ali Khamenei had a secret that no one knew about. A secret marriage and a son born from this marriage. Today, I will tell you how this 40-year secret was revealed, one of the CIA's most classified operations, and the most ruthless war a son waged against his father. In 1979, the fires of revolution were burning in Iran. While Shah Reza Pahlavi's regime was collapsing, young cleric Ali Khamenei was living not only a political secret, but also a personal one. At that time, 39-year-old Khamenei had a secret second marriage alongside his official wife. This marriage was so secret that only a few close friends knew about it, because this marriage could damage his revolutionary image. His secret wife, Mariam, was the daughter of one of the wealthy families from the Shah era. She had received a Western education, studied at university in France, and came from a very different world. Khamenei had to keep her secret because his revolutionary comrades would never approve of this union. In 1980, Mariam gave birth to a baby boy. They named him Darius. But even this birth was kept secret. There was no such child in official records. Because Khamenei didn't want to risk his political career. Darius's first 5 years passed normally. He lived in the secret house with his mother and father. Khamenei loved him very much. According to our sources, he would play Western music for him and teach him English, because he wanted his son to have a broad perspective. But everything changed in 1985. The Iran-Iraq War had intensified. Khamenei's political position was strengthening, and now the secret family was becoming a burden to him. In September of that year, the neighborhood where Darius lived was bombed. According to official reports, it was an attack by Iraqi jets. But the truth was very different. Among the wounded brought to the hospital on the night of the attack was 5-year-old Darius. His mother Mariam had died at the scene. Darius was seriously injured but alive. And here begins the darkest part of the story. Hospital records were mysteriously deleted that night. Darius's file disappeared. And the next morning, he had also disappeared from intensive care. He had literally vanished. Khamenei went mad. He had his son searched for, every place combed through. But he couldn't find any trace, because Darius was no longer in Iran. He had been taken out of Iran that night. Documents leaked from CIA archives in 2019 revealed the true story of that night. The bombing was real, but Darius wasn't the only target. This was part of a CIA operation called Operation Future Generation. The CIA's plan was this: to kidnap the children of Iran's future regime leaders and turn them into pro-American agents. Darius was just the first target of this plan. That night, Darius was taken from the hospital by a special team. He was transported via Turkey to Germany, and from there to America. And thus the son of Iran's future supreme leader fell into the hands of the CIA. After reaching America, Darius was subjected to intensive psychological treatment. The aim was to make him forget his past and raise him with a new identity. This process lasted exactly 2 years. In 1987, 7-year-old Darius was given a new identity, Darius Wilson. He was adopted by a family carefully selected by the CIA. David and Sarah Wilson appeared to be a normal American couple. But in reality, both were retired CIA agents. Darius's new life was perfectly planned. He went to the best schools. He received the best education, but at the same time, he was also included in a special training program. This program aimed to make him a perfect agent who could be used against Iran in the future. Darius learned English at native level, but at the same time, he also took special lessons so he wouldn't forget Persian. The CIA even taught him Arabic, because he was planned to work in the Middle East in the future. In 2000, he entered MIT. He studied computer engineering. He was very successful, the top of his class. His friends saw him as a normal American. But Darius's true identity was very different. During his university years, he spent his summer vacations at the CIA's Langley facilities. Here, he learned espionage, encryption, weapons use, and psychological manipulation techniques. At age 20, he knew things that most of his peers couldn't even imagine. After graduating from MIT in 2004, he officially joined the CIA. But he had special status. He would only be used in Iran operations. Because this was the CIA's greatest asset, the supreme leader's own son. During this time, Darius constantly gathered information about his father. The CIA taught him Khamenei's daily routines, health status, and the people around him. But one thing was missing: emotional connection. Until 2010, Darius didn't know his true identity. The CIA had only told him he was the child of an Iranian refugee family. But on his 30th birthday, the CIA decided to reveal the truth to him. That day, he was called to a special room at Langley. On the table were photos of his father Khamenei, documents about his mother Mariam, and his own childhood photos. CIA Director John Brennan personally revealed the truth. Darius's first reaction was shock, then anger, then deep sadness, because he suddenly realized that his entire life had been a lie, and now he was being told to spy on his father. From his personal notes written that night, these lines are very striking. For 30 years I thought I was American. Turns out I was Iranian. My father is one of the most powerful people in the world. But he never looked for me. Did he ever love me? The CIA provided him with special psychological support, because this truth had completely shattered him. But at the same time, they taught him to use this situation to his advantage, because now his motivation was different. Darius began watching his father Khamenei's speeches. He analyzed every word. Sometimes he seemed to be looking for himself in his father's eyes. Did his father wonder about him too? In 2011, he began his first operation. The target: gathering information about Iran's nuclear program. But this was just the beginning. The CIA's long-term plan was much bigger. Darius's first mission seemed technical: infiltrating Iran's nuclear facilities' computer systems. But actually, this was the first step taken against his father. Iran's cybersecurity systems were very strong, but Darius had an advantage. He knew his father's personal information: Khamenei's birth date, the name of his childhood pet, his first teacher's name. This information was very valuable for breaking passwords. The first operation was successful. Darius obtained details of Iran's nuclear program. But more importantly, he gained access to his father's personal computer. And here, he discovered something shocking. On Khamenei's computer were dozens of letters he had written for his lost son. He had never sent these letters but had continuously written them. Lines beginning with, "My son Darius, where are you? I think about you every day." Reading these letters, Darius was devastated. His father hadn't forgotten him. On the contrary, he had continuously searched for him. He had even asked the CIA for help in 2005, though of course the CIA had lied to him. Darius's emotional breakdown was considered a success by the CIA, because now they could completely control him. He was both sad for his father and angry at him. These mixed emotions made him a perfect agent. In 2015, the CIA activated its main plan for Darius. Its name: Operation Fathers and Sons. The plan was this: they would infiltrate Darius into Iran, get him close to Khamenei, and overthrow him from within. For this plan, Darius took 2 years of special training. He relearned Iranian culture, Religious rituals, political protocols, even Khamenei's personal habits had to be memorized. In 2017, he went to Iran with a fake identity. He introduced himself as a Canadian-Iranian businessman. His plan was to slowly infiltrate his father's circle. His first target was Khamenei's close advisors. He would establish business relationships with them, gain their trust, and eventually meet his father Khamenei. The plan was perfect, but one thing was missing: Darius's true intentions. The first weeks he spent in Iran changed Darius. He was in his own country for the first time. He was seeing his father Khamenei's photos everywhere for the first time. And he realized something. This man really was his father. In March 2018, Darius finally achieved his goal. He would appear before Khamenei with his Canadian businessman identity. After 32 years, he would encounter his father. That day, Darius's heart was about to burst. The CIA had made all the plans beforehand. He would approach Khamenei, gain his trust, and eventually reveal his true identity. But the plans changed in an unexpected way. When Khamenei saw Darius, he stopped. He looked at him with narrowed eyes. Then he approached and said something shocking. "You look very much like my son Darius." Darius was surprised. Had his father recognized him? Or was he just seeing a resemblance? At that moment, all CIA plans suddenly became meaningless. Because his father really had missed him, had always searched for him. At that moment, Darius forgot the CIA's 30-year plan. He was just a son standing before his father. And he made a shocking decision. He would tell the truth. "Father, I am your son Darius." These words changed both men's lives forever. Khamenei couldn't hold back his tears. The son he had been searching for 32 years was before him. Khamenei immediately ordered a secret DNA test. The result was definitive. Darius really was his son. But now, there were big questions. Where had his son lived for 32 years? Who had raised him? Darius told his father everything. How he had been kidnapped by the CIA. How he had been brainwashed. How he had been made into an agent. Khamenei was furious with rage, but at the same time very sad for his son. Khamenei immediately mobilized Iranian intelligence. They began investigating Darius's true story, and the truths that emerged became documents that shook world politics. Iranian intelligence discovered that the CIA had kidnapped not only Darius, but also other children. Children of Syrian, Lebanese, and Yemeni leaders had also been subjected to similar operations. Darius now faced his most difficult decision. On one side was America and the CIA, where he had lived for 30 years. On the other side was his real father and his own country, Iran. Which side would he choose? When the CIA learned of the situation, they gave Darius an ultimatum. Either he would continue with his plan or he would have an accident. Because Darius now knew too many secrets. Khamenei took his son under protection. But at the same time, he asked something of him: to expose all of the CIA's operations. This way, Iran could learn America's Middle East plans. Darius made a shocking decision. He would become a double agent. He would tell the CIA he was working for Iran, and Iran that he was working for the CIA. But in reality, he would only expose the truth. In 2019, Darius launched the biggest operation of his life. With information he obtained from both the CIA and Iranian intelligence, he would expose the world's biggest espionage scandal. He leaked thousands of documents to WikiLeaks. These documents contained all the details of the CIA's Operation Future Generation. Which children had been kidnapped, which countries' leaders had been targeted. The publication of the documents shook the world. All media outlets, led by CNN, BBC, and Al Jazeera, made this scandal their headline. One of America's darkest operations had come to light. The United Nations Security Council held an emergency meeting. Iran announced it would take America to international court for child kidnapping charges. the CIA entered a major crisis. The exposure of the operation had endangered not only Iran, but all Middle East operations. Many agent identities had been revealed. Today, Darius lives in Iran with his father, Khamenei. But this is not just a family reunion. He has also become one of the chief architects of Iran's anti-American strategies. The technology knowledge Darius learned in America strengthened Iran's cybersecurity systems. The espionage techniques he learned from the CIA made Iranian intelligence more effective. The CIA's 30-year plan had the opposite result. Instead of stealing Khamenei's son, they had given him his greatest ally. And now Darius is one of America's biggest threats in the Middle East. But the most striking aspect of the story is this. Every night, Darius shuffles through the photos that were taken from him by the CIA in his childhood. And he asks his father, "Father, did you really miss me?" Khamenei's answer is always the same. "My son, I searched for you every day. I thought about you every night. And now I'm very happy that you're here." This family drama is not only personal but also geopolitical, because the forces that tried to separate a father from his son have now united that family against themselves. And every day Darius asks himself, was he the only child the CIA tried to kidnap? How many more Dariuses are there in the world? And what will they do when they learn the truth? This story has ended, but the truth may just be beginning, because the documents Darius exposed show that Operation Future Generation was not limited to Iran, and other lost children may soon learn the truth. Then the world could be shaken by even bigger scandals. Because sometimes the most powerful weapon can be a stolen child growing up and learning the truth. The revelation of Darius's story sent shockwaves through intelligence communities worldwide. Within months of the WikiLeaks publication, 3 other individuals came forward claiming they too were victims of similar CIA operations. A Syrian man living in Canada discovered he was the son of a high-ranking Assad regime official. A woman in Australia learned her Lebanese father was a Hezbollah commander. Each story followed the same pattern: childhood trauma, memory manipulation, and decades of unknowing service to their family's enemies. Congressional hearings in Washington revealed the scope of Operation Future Generation. Between 1980 and 2010, the CIA had attempted to recruit or kidnap at least 47 children of Middle Eastern political figures. The success rate was low, but the psychological damage was immense. Khamenei used his son's story as a powerful propaganda tool. In speeches broadcast across the Middle East, he portrayed America as a nation that steals children and breaks families. The narrative resonated strongly in cultures where family bonds are considered sacred. Meanwhile, Darius became Iran's most effective asset against Western intelligence operations. His intimate knowledge of CIA training methods, safe houses, and operational procedures allowed Iran to identify and neutralize dozens of American agents throughout the region. The most profound impact, however, was personal. In his private moments, Darius often wondered about the paths not taken. What if he had grown up in Iran? Would he have become a different person? Would he have been happier? His father, now in his 80s, seemed to age rapidly after learning about his son's ordeal. The guilt of not protecting Darius haunted him. Late at night, palace staff often heard him crying alone in his study, surrounded by the letters he had written to his missing son over the decades. The story of Darius Wilson, or Darius Khamenei, as he now called himself, became a cautionary tale about the human cost of geopolitical games. In the shadowy world of international espionage, where nations treat people as pawns, sometimes the greatest casualty is not information or strategic advantage, but the simple human right to know who you really are. As for the CIA, they quietly retired the Future Generation program. The blowback from Darius's defection was too severe, the reputational damage too great. But in classified briefings, analysts still debated whether the operation had been a catastrophic failure or a lesson in the unpredictable nature of human emotion. In the end, love proved stronger than programming. A father's persistent search for his lost child had overcome 3 decades of the world's most sophisticated brainwashing. And in a region torn apart by endless conflicts, the reunion of a family offered a rare glimpse of hope that even in the darkest circumstances, the bonds that matter most can never truly be broken. The question that haunts intelligence agencies around the world is simple but profound. How many other children are out there, living lives built on lies, unaware that their entire existence is a weapon pointed at their own families? Only time will tell if Darius's courage to speak the truth will inspire others to seek their own.